Everybody, a new report shining a spotlight on disciplinary action, or perhaps lack thereof, within the Buffalo Police Department. Investigative Post publishing an analysis of misconduct complaints showing that the department found fault with officers only about 9% of the time. Now, the complaints were initially obtained by the New York Civil Liberties Union thanks to a 2020 lawsuit. Jeff Kelly reported this story for Investigative Post, and he joins me now live. First off, Jeff, thank you for coming in. Walk me through sort of the highlights. There's a lot to this, and I encourage everybody to read the full article, but did anything surprise you? What sticks out most? Well,
so as you say, there's thousands of pages covering and the investigatory files of about 1,000 civilian complaints alleging misconduct. And those are fascinating because when you look at the investigatory files, the files that Internal Affairs puts together, you get to see how hard did they work? How hard did they work to investigate these claims? Who did they interview? Did they look at video? Did they even check to see if there was? And you also get to see the original citizen complaints that generated these investigations. And so you get an account of these interactions between police and members of the community who say, that, you know, this isn't right. You were kicking me in the head, or you're rude, or you know, what have you. The complaints range from kind of the silly to the really quite disturbing.
And you're able to zero in on some particular officers and particular circumstances,
sure.
Because the numbers, you know, vary widely from officer to officer.
Yeah, and one of the telling things too is that so one of the officers with the officer with the most complaints in the period that is covered by these disclosures is now Detective Michael Aquino. 23 investigations by Internal Affairs in the course of like about 10 years, 15 years, and zero discipline. Never did they sustain a complaint against him. Now there are folks. The police union didn't respond to a request for comment, but if they had, I imagine they would have said this is evidence that Detective Aquino is innocent. On the other hand, you have critics of police practices in Buffalo who say, in fact, this is evidence that police don't really investigate their own. That too often they let things slide, and when they do find misconduct, it's just a slap on the wrist. The discipline meted out is hardly ever severe.
And you know, I think you did a great job here of covering both sides, even though the union wouldn't talk to you, in saying that also that particular officer, that detective, is really good at his job in other aspects.
Sure. In many cases, you read the complaints about Detective Aquino and you think, my gosh, he does sound kind of rude. He does sound kind of like what they call them on the force hard chargers. On the other hand, he's got a record of getting guns off the street, for example. He was pretty successful at that, and maybe that's why he was promoted from officer to detective.
In about 20 seconds I have left, you didn't hear back from the police union. What about the police department, the mayor, or the administration?
No, also strange response from the administration. The spokesman for the police department, Mike DeGeorge, said they would not comment on pending litigation. As far as I know, there is no pending litigation. This lawsuit is settled.
All right, Jeff Kelly with Investigative Post. Go to investigativepost.org to read more about that. Jeff, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
My pleasure. You too.
Appreciate it.